this last segment was great. Courtney and I love talking about hard deals and how you solve hard deals. And the whole culmination of the conversation between Lance and Scott today ended up with us talking about the NAF Cash program and how they use a specific and proprietary program that New American Funding offers to help solve real estate problems. It's really interesting, really great, really unique. And if you're interested about how they solve problems through their unique program, check out this conversation with Lance and Scott at New American Funding.
Well, let's transition to the last segment. So we talked about y'all's history, y'all's background. Courtney put us in the direction of doing some systems and processes, which I think is going to tell a lot about y'all's team and attract not only clients, because a good team and a good process makes the process more efficient, but also having people who want to get away from the resistance or the struggle or the friction that they have with their organization. Let's talk about how y'all solve hard real estate deals. And Courtney and I love talking about hard real estate deals. We find ourselves dealing with the most difficult when it comes to title issues or lending issues or whatever it may be. Y'all have a unique way of solving problems.
Correct.
And, New American Funding is a gigantic company. We've talked about that in the prior segment. You have a lot of experience. Just you two individually as your own company and with New American Funding, you have a great team and staff and process. But let's talk about hard deals and what this NAF Cash program is and how it allows you to be creative when somebody may run into some situation. So let's start high level. What is NAF Cash, and what does it do for people?
So Navcash, first off, is a game changer. It totally changes real estate as we've known it to be. In a normal environment, up until Navcash, if you're looking to sell to buy, typically the house you're wanting to put an offer in, that seller's not really going to accept an offer if it's predicated or if your house isn't even listed yet or there's no contract on the vacating home yet.
Yeah.
And so, early COVID, as when this program was invented by us, we own it, we created it. It is a absolute unique proprietary program that solves the messy transaction of selling to buy.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, the best part about it is, back to its inception, 2019, when it was dreamt up by our EVP in Colorado. And you guys remember the COVID times, right? A house would go on the market for hours, not days.
Yep.
And it would have 10, 15, 20 offers, 10, 15, $20,000 over asking price. And all of our loan officers, we had all these pre-approved customers, but they all had
Houses to sell.
their wealth in their equity. So they weren't getting any deals to stick. So Milt got with Rick and Patty, pitched the idea of Navcash. I think about 6 weeks' time, Patty went to Washington, D.C., had it cleared by Fannie, Freddie, VA. We launched it. And so basically what it is we'll use our cash. So the agents, if their client finds a property that they absolutely love, they're now writing an all-cash offer.
Yeah.
Non-predicated.
Yeah. And I think everybody in this room knows the difference between a finance offer and a cash offer. So we basically purchase the house for them. We do the cash closing. Then the buyer gets to move in and then they get to list their house for sale. We give them 7 days after the cash closing and they've already moved into their new dream home, which they secured with an all cash offer before they list their house. So they no longer have to prep for showings, leave work, gather the dogs, gather the kids.
Declutter.
And and most importantly too, guess what? Guess what real estate agents love to? They love listing a vacant home because then they can stage it, it's clean. It really releases a lot of the stress of the transaction. And so like we'd like to say is the typical real estate market or the transaction is you have to sell before you buy. Well, with Navcash, you can buy before you sell. And in this market, with an all cash offer, you're seeing some savings off of the list price.
So let's keep it. Let's just the basics of this. So if y'all have a client who comes to you guys and they're like, I am looking to buy a house. I haven't listed my house yet, but I want to buy something new. I do plan on listing, but I have this house that's on the market that I really want to take advantage of. They can, as long as they're approved by you guys, can make an offer with your money, New American Funding's money, and y'all will purchase that property with y'all's cash and give that person now the ability to move in and then take some time before they list their house, a couple of days. And the on the deed, on the contract, it's going to state that New American Funding is the purchaser.
Correct.
And there's agreements between you guys and them stating that if they follow the process and they get everything done, once they sell their house, they'll then purchase it from you guys pretty much, and then they'll move it.
Correct. Yeah. So it makes it a seamless transaction. And look, here's the thing. They can have their house already listed for sale that they're vacating. That is not a problem.
Yeah.
They just don't have to list it for sale until 7 days after we've paid cash for the new home. And look, think about it this way. This is the biggest debacle with the mortgage industry and the real estate environment when you're selling to buy is, let's say someone says, okay, hey, I want to get pre-approved. I want to sell to buy, right? So we get them pre-approved and they go look for homes. But again, no one's really accepting a predicated offer, especially if the vacating house isn't under contract yet. So their house finally goes under contract. Well, the house that they loved,
It's gone.
that's already gone, right? So here's the pickle. The pickle is, okay, now I've got 30 days. I got to go find another home. Well, what if you can't find the home that you really love?
Yeah.
Now you got 30 days to make a decision. Are you going to settle?
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess a lot of people settle.
Well,
Or do I
and-
go rent? Right?
And then there's just the whole caveat of juggling buying while selling, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so the fact that you guys allow them to endure the buying process, and then 7 days after that purchase, they then have to move. Then they can say, okay, now I've basically finished the buy part for the most part, right? Knowing that there's a caveat on the back end, but then now we can do the sell part and get that moving. So you're not having to juggle. I have a list of questions of people who frequently ask me, especially on the radio on WWL every weekend. So it's dealing with the public. A lot of people call in. This is one of the top ones. Courtney, how do I juggle both the buying and selling part? Because it's messy and complicated, and there's not a lot of streamline. And so this sounds like not only a streamline, but it gives the buyer an upper hand because you're no longer are you making an offer that's contingent, that's a predicated offer. And it's not even a financed offer at that. Correct. It is a cash offer. Guess what cash usually gets me? Precedence and a discount sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to move your offer right to the top of the line.
Yeah. And so there's a level there that, that's huge. And so I can, is there anything else you want to say about the NAF Cash offer?
On the buyer side, I want to talk about the agent side.
So let's talk about it because everything we've talked about so far is the mechanics, the workings of having to sell before you buy.
Yep.
Well, you don't have to be a homeowner to use NAF Cash, okay? You can.
So that you can.
You can be a first-time buyer.
Yeah. So I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. So I have a VA client who's living in Oklahoma. Just got his transfer papers. Never bought a home before. Husband and wife.
So he's renting in Oklahoma.
He's renting in Oklahoma. Got transferred 3-year stint. He's in the Marines, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So we get them approved for our VA NAF Cash program. The wife hops on a flight. This is the week after Thanksgiving. They have to be there by the 20th of December. Meets an agent up there looking at a new home. And we actually have this on one of our social media pages to where they were looking at a new construction home. So the builder's agent was there and you kind of heard her start asking the hot questions. Have you been pre-approved yet?
Yeah.
Have you thought about financing? And from behind, this lady's agent goes, oh, they're all cash buyers. And you can hear the sales rep go, oh, congratulations. And basically, I want to say the house was a $409,000 brand new construction house. They told her, if you can close before the end of the year, we'll dot it right now for $380,000.
Wow.
Yep.
So they went under contract. And here's the benefit in this situation for Navcash. They went under contract. We had a closing on the 17th of December because we can close these in 12 days or less sometimes. But she flies back to Oklahoma. Her husband graduates from his artillery school on the 17th. They load up their U-Haul. Now, granted, we've already closed on this house that same day in Oklahoma, in North Carolina for them. Takes them 2.5 days to drive. They show up on the 19th evening at 10 p.m. The agent left the key under the door for them. They were able to spend their first night in their home without the complexities of having to wait on a closing.
Yeah.
And I can tell you how much I believe in this because that wife I told you about, that was my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's huge.
And look, I want to bring another example up because this is such a key piece of this puzzle. There's so many different avenues, right? But this is very unique. We've got a lot of clients, a lot of consumers out there who are sitting at 2-3%, right? And rates are not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, and we're not going to be back there probably ever,
yeah.
right? So but they're getting that itch. I want to move. Right.
I need a bigger house. I need to be something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd love to know if we could figure out what that number is because, they're wanting to do it, but they really don't want to lose their rate to just kind of settle on a home, right? Because the problem is, and I have an example, I had a client, I want to move, but I don't want to lose my rate. But oh my gosh, I want this house.
Yeah.
NAF Cash. Let's get you approved for NAF Cash. Put an offer in. If it gets accepted, move in, then list your home. Sure enough. And so we close that transaction. So, opening the doors up to those out there that are sitting at a low rate or not sure they want to move. They're just so worried about, what if I can't get the home I want? NAF Cash solves that problem.
Yeah.
It solves it. You're guaranteed what you want before you've even listed your home technically.
Yeah. And I think from a buyer standpoint, obviously y'all made clear the benefits of it. But I want to also talk about the buyer's agent, and then I want to talk with the listing agent, then I want to talk from the seller standpoint. Because I've seen agents and sellers all rave about the program after doing closings with you guys. So from a buyer's agent standpoint, what benefit does it offer for those types of people who are out there trying to find houses for their client and trying to time the market? And also talk about how you become a NAF Cash buyer's agent too.
Good question. So from a buyer standpoint, from a buyer's agent standpoint, the main thing is we want to get their application in up front, right? Because we're offering all cash.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to pre-underwrite the file, right? So we pre-underwrite the file, we get them approved. It only takes us a few days to pre-underwrite them, right? Now that agent is running around with a buyer for an all cash offer,
Right.
and so, as we get into a more busy season, this is going to be where Navcash really pokes its head out, because we've all been there. We know that when a busy season happens, you might put offer after offer after offer after offer in, and then finally have to settle on a home. And oh, by the way, pay tens of thousands of dollars to maybe hope to win the seventh home you bid on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Navcash for a buyer's agent and a buyer allows them to put an all cash, non-predicated offer in and move their offer way to the top of the line, because it's all cash with a quick close. We can close in 12 days, no problem.
Yeah.
And so then, and it also doesn't have to be the highest number. I have
Correct.
plenty of times accepted lower offers because they were cash with a quick close. It's the terms of the offer, not just the price.
I'll give you another example. So the first one I ever closed, this is such a perfect example. Lady moving from Thibodeau to St. Charles Parish, and there was a new construction home in between her mom and her sister.
Nice.
So think about the emotional standpoint on this, right?
Sure.
Well, I had her approved NAF Cash, but she's like, well, I'm going to put in a predicated offer in. Full asking price was denied, right? Wasn't accepted. Came back NAF Cash, 20 grand under asking price, closed in 12 days, builder took it.
Wow.
And so, these are real life examples of what we're experiencing, so kind of to your point, not just from a convenience standpoint, but right now it's a little bit more of a buyer's market, right? So there likely could be some savings out there because you are paying cash.
Yeah.
I've sold plenty of homes over the years as a full-time investor, and I'm not looking for top dollar. I'm looking for confidence to close.
Mm-hmm. And I can
that's
tell you
huge.
too, how this impacts what we're seeing, the feedback we're getting from our listing agents. Okay. Like 70% of the people that list their home are going to purchase within a 30-mile radius, whether they're upsizing, downsizing, just want to be at a different part of town. The biggest challenge we've seen over the last couple of years is when that listing agent goes to meet with them, they're kind of hesitant because they have that 2 to 3% interest rate. And they're probably kind of like, I'm on the fence and I got to only go if I get the perfect house. Well, now these agents, we can equip them with Navcash. They can say, look, I understand you're on the fence, but let's do this. Let's get you approved with Navcash, okay? Once you're approved, like Scott said, it takes 2 to 3 days because we completely underwrite the file, so you have 100% approval. Let's pump the brakes. Let's go into a holding pattern. And if the perfect house you want hits the market, we can pounce with an all-cash offer. Then I'll list your house for sale. So Navcash is actually creating transactions for listing and buying agents.
Yeah. And look, to answer your question, not any agent can just offer Navcash to their clients.
Yeah.
They do have to get certified.
So the agents do?
They do. They have to get certified. So we
Okay.
have a certification class, agent certification class, 5 days a week at different times during the week. It's free. Any agent can sign up for it, right? So I would just say, hey, get with us. We'll send you the link to get certified. Get certified. Put that notch on your belt, because here's another example. You're going to a listing appointment as an agent and you're Navcash certified and the other agents, let's just say, haven't gotten Navcash certified. Well, when you're talking to that seller, you can say, hey, look, one of the added benefits with me is I'm a Navcash certified agent. I could represent you in putting an all cash offer and technically before I've even listed your home for sale.
Yeah.
And again, the convenience and just the solitude of the, ease of use of this. It just, like I said, it levels the playing field.
For sure.
And takes all the unknown out.
Yeah. And then just to put a cherry on top of that, what are the feedback you're getting from sellers on these deals? I mean, we've been in the room with a builder and he's just like, I've never seen this before. Yeah. And also agents that represent a lot of developers, and they're like they'll call me and be like, is this legitimate? I'm like, we've closed, I can't tell you how many
right.
at this point, and everybody has the same reaction. Like, yeah, it's almost too good to be true.
Right.
That it works out.
And I think, that's, another beautiful part about this program is, remember I mentioned when we walk into the closing booth, normally listing agents are just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Now they're like, I don't know what this is, but this was awesome. And they're throwing their cards at us. Mm-hmm. And we're able to explain the program and give them a further option. But the best part of what we're seeing too is this program is the most amazing referral creation program ever. And this is kind of generally how it goes. Our client, when somebody buys a home, what do? They're proud of it. They invite their friends and family over for a housewarming party, right?
Right.
So they're sitting around and go, okay, hey, did you sell your house over there? No, I didn't, but I used this cash program that got me my dream home. So like, what? Tell me about it. And then they'll be like, yeah, my agent is certified to represent this. You need to talk to her if you're thinking you want to go buy your dream house. Yeah. And it's creating referral upon referral for the agents who are utilizing the program.
And truly creating this, like it saves deals and it creates deals. I mean, it is truly amazing. It's happening. I mean, you've experienced it with us. Mm-hmm. I mean, as Lance mentioned, we go to the closing table. We'd love to talk to the listing agent, but they already got their contacts. But when we come with Navcash to the table, now they're like, yeah. This is awesome. How do we get this, going on our end?
And I think I enjoy talking to you guys about this because y'all use it as a tool and a relationship builder too. It's like everybody has relationships in this business. So y'all say, hey, look, guys, like I know you have a lender, but if you haven't run into these situations where I can solve these problems, then let me know. I'd love to help you with an Navcash deal. And I think that's the big point of this conversation, right? I want people to understand that this is a tool to solve problems for people. And ultimately, it's going to drive more referrals to you guys because of the fact that it does work so well. For
yeah,
buyers
and what you mentioned is huge. Is we can, the rinse repeat cycle of being a mortgage lender talking to real estate agents. We're always tugging on them, saying, "Gimme, gimme, gimme." You're trying to split relationships. With this, we can truly look them in the eye and say, "Look, we have something that's good and unique. I don't need to split your relationships that you forged over the last 10, 15 years." If you have something that looks like Navcash would work, hey, let's do some business, and then you can go back if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And look, here, one other thing to add. This is not a bridge loan. So early on, we were getting some feedback. Oh, well, this is a bridge loan. It is not a bridge loan. This is the furthest thing from a bridge loan.
Mm-hmm. It's a purchase and a sale.
It's a purchase and a sale.
Yeah.
And it's all cash. It has nothing to do with the vacating property. It's all on the purchase.
Yeah. So if let's, as we wrap this up.
Well, but before you transition, the thought that came to mind is, so Alex Hermosi, business guy, marketer, right? In his book, he said, make an offer so good that people feel stupid ignoring it, or not taking it. That's what I think of. So I'll be honest, I didn't know what Navcash was before coming in here today. And granted, I'm not on the retail side as much, right? As a full-time investor, right? But there's a level where that's what comes to mind. It's an offer that's so good it's stupid to ignore or to not take. And so I think that that's a important thing here. Like us talking about it, like I could see that being a differential in that it sells itself, right? So I think that's huge.
Yeah. And so if people want to hear more about the program, obviously y'all have social media, which is a big part of how y'all market your business. But how do they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, on our cells. You're going to put them up, I guess,
we'll put them in the show
on our
notes.
cell phones, email, text. Happy to chat Navcash all day long. And one thing I do want to add, we created a YouTube video that this is where I would say it was kind of a game changer for us. We found ourselves one day on the phone all week talking Navcash. And it's got some moving parts, right? So we said...
like what's the fine print?
Yeah.
People are going to want to know that.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Yeah.
And it's like, you explain it to them, but they might be driving, or they get home, they're trying to explain it to their spouse. And, yeah, we understand it, but it's hard for someone to really digest that in a phone call. So we created a YouTube video. It's 100% transparent that literally goes over every single piece of the NAF Cash program. And so what we'll do is when we talk to the clients or the agents, we give them kind of the bullet point version and say, hey, look, before we kind of dive a little bit further in, you need to watch this video. So we shoot them the YouTube video for them to watch. Call us back when you've watched the video. That was a game changer decision that we made that it paid off immensely, because when they call us back, 2 questions.
Yeah.
Is this for real? And how do I apply?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
well,
awesome.
good. So I mean, we'll definitely direct people to y'all's social media accounts, and if there's a link to that YouTube video and you want to send it to us, we'll get Allie that information so she can share that on her page, so more people can learn more about Navcash. And I think one thing that we didn't talk a ton about today, but I do want to make this point, is that y'all are local. Y'all are in Covington, downtown Covington, right across from the beer garden. So y'all are here. You're not, national guys that are just here part time. Y'all are here locally, and y'all are looking to grow your footprint here. So y'all are looking for loan officers in Slidell and on the South Shore and in Baton Rouge and in Hammond, so that y'all can grow and add to your team. So I do know that's part of the game. And so I'm hoping that people reach out to y'all not only about Navcash, but New American Funding after hearing more about you guys, and then loan officers who are looking to make a move and join a great team.
That's
Call you
awesome.
guys.
And it doesn't just stop, honestly, with Louisiana. Hey, they want us to develop Mississippi, get into Alabama. They've really given us kind of free reign where we can take this and help grow and get the New American Funding name out. And Scott or I we're willing, and we funded all 50 states, so we're willing to talk to LO pretty much anywhere, if they think it's a good fit, and we would love to get this footprint going.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. It was a great conversation today.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
A lot of fun.
Thank you for having us.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.